So good morning again, everybody, and welcome to Funding for Long Island Businesses. I see we have some other people that are also streaming in, but we're going to get started because we're only here till 9:30. So welcome again. And I will tell you that this program was a direct result of many of you saying to us, we need to understand the available funding. Actually, Kelly and Kara and I got together one day and began to talk about how could we best help our businesses? There's a lot of great funding out there. And sometimes because there's so much of it all at one time, it can get confusing, right, to a business owner. So we're glad that you all joined us. You know, many of you have told us as our members that we still struggle to fill our talent pipeline. So we have Rosalie, who will be talking about workforce training funding and some great things coming down the pike. And we'll also be talking about, funding that relates to R&D, that relates to expansion and growth and tax incentives. So there's, as I said, a lot out there. Listen, these three ladies are it, I have to tell you. I mean, not only great partners, but really tireless advocates for the Long Island business community and for economic development. I'm proud to call them my friends as well. And they're just, when we get together, I'll be honest, we get things done, right, ladies? I mean, that's how I feel about it. So, and these are also three lead agencies. So we're going to hear from Empire State Development, we're going to hear from DOL, and obviously Suffolk Industrial Development Agency. All of those agencies are leading the way with economic development, are leading the way with really improving our quality of life, quite frankly. So I'm going to start with Carol Longworth. She's the Regional Director of Empire State Development. Many of you know her, I'm sure. And, Empire State Development has really led the way in terms of these consolidated funding applications, which is a much easier way for you as a business owner to be able to look at several sources of funds and apply in one application, right? Ease of use, which is great. She's also leading the front with the Long Island Regional Economic Development Council. A lot of money has come down the pike, really to Long Island, and we're very, very excited about that. That continues. So I'm gonna turn it over to Kara first. Kara?
Thank you, Terry. And I echo Terry when she says that the women on this panel are like the leaders in economic development, and Terry more so than any of us heading up your organization. I mean, she's just such a and probably been doing it the longest compared to all of us, right? But I've worked with all of you guys. Kelly and I go way back to our days in Glen Cove, and Rosalie has been such a force with us, helping with the workforce development through all my years at ESD. So I'm so happy to be on the panel with all of you. If we were in person, I'd ask to see a show of hands of how many people have never heard of ESD, and I'm always shocked when I see that, and or are not familiar with the REDC process. And again, I'm always shocked to hear that. So, but hopefully everyone here is familiar. If not, I'm going to give you a little primer. As Terry pointed out, ESD is the state's economic development agency, the main arm for economic development. Our mission is really quite simple: to promote a vigorous and growing economy, encourage business growth and investment, job growth, to support local diverse economies. And we do all of this through the efficient use of loans, tax breaks and credits, grants, real estate development. I'm sure you're all following Penn Station development, marketing, MWBE support, technical support. These are all programs that ESD does. We have over 600 jobs in the state. ESD, it's a big agency. I run the Long Island region, which is Nassau, Suffolk. I have a team of 7 people in my office. All of them are experts in economic development. All you have to do is call our office, 631-435-0717. Get anyone on the phone. They'll direct you to resources. We are here to help. When I was hired in this job about 8 years ago, the interviewer said to me, your job is to be the voice of the friendly voice of the state to businesses and to other people. And I take that job that role seriously. And I tell my whole staff to be the same thing. So if you call our office, you will get assistance. Terry mentioned, the Regional Economic Development Council and the Consolidated Funding Application, which we call the REDC and the CFA. As you know, everything in state government is an acronym of some sort. In 2011, the then Governor Cuomo created a new way to get economic development money down to the regions. There are 10 regions in New York State. As I said, I run Long Island. These are economic development regions, I should say. And they created the Regional Economic Development Councils to help guide where money goes down into the regions. It used to be all funding decisions were made in Albany with little input from the regions. They wanted to make sure that the regions had some say in their strategic plan, how to move the economy forward, and where that funding goes. There's a recognition that economic development in the Finger Lakes or the North Country is very different from New York City or Long Island. So during this process, we've created the Regional Economic Development Strategic Plan with voices from all over Long Island. Rosalie's been very helpful, helping us with the workforce development strategy. We look at funding in 4 main phases: placemaking. We help local downtowns develop, just to where funding goes matters. We need to create better places for people to live and to work. So we put money into placemaking. We put money into innovation. We support our colleges and our other institutions. We support an entrepreneurial assistance. We support manufacturing, which I assume many of you on this call are in that field, and workforce development. So those are the 4 main tranches of where we look to put our financing. Now, there is no one size fits all. It's not necessarily formulaic how we assist a business. So as again, I encourage you to call our office and we will help you. But our main sources are tax credits, Excelsior tax credits. So if you are a distributor, manufacturer, software developer, research and development, financial services, or back office business, and you are expanding and creating jobs, you are eligible for Excelsior tax credits. We also have outright grants. Both of those programs are ongoing throughout the year. We encourage you again to, if you Google Consolidated Funding Application, it's now an automated application, but we still encourage you to call my office and we will help you. Global, we have support for global companies. If you're exporting, we have many programs for small businesses. Just last week, the LIA had a big small business program. We talked about all the programs there. And this COVID help, if you're a small business, there's still COVID recovery money. There was $800 million put in last year's budget. There's still funding left for that, for small businesses recovering from COVID. There's a new program that just is coming online now for, I want to get the name right. It's a COVID tax credit. So if you had to spend money to make your business COVID friendly in the pandemic, you can get up to 50% of the money back for that, whether it's your hand sanitizers or your plastic barriers, etc. So that program's online right now. If you go to the ESD website, you'll see that. In order to get that credit, you'll have to have that documentation done by the end of the year, so it will show up on your 23 taxes. Workforce development, Rosalie's going to talk a little bit more about that when she speaks, but we know we've been listening to the companies across the state, across the country. Everybody has a worker shortage. We know that, we're aware of it. The governor put $350 million in the budget this year to support workforce development. They've created a new Office of Workforce Development within ESD. There's Department of Labor, the State Department of Labor, there's Rosalie's Department of Labor that have always been working on worker training. This year, to make sure that industry is aligned with the worker shortage, the governor created a new Office of Workforce Development within Empire State Development. We are investing money in doing actual research on the ground, find out what each of the industries need. We will be launching a broad outreach, and we're going to have many meetings and focus groups to talk to all of you in all the different industries and find out what your needs are and what types of training we can fund to make sure that you have the employees that you need, because we do hear that is the #1 issue. So I will, when we start having those focus groups and those forums, I'll reach out to Terry so she can make sure that you're all aware and can all participate in that. I think, oh, and if you're an MWBE, if you're a minority woman-owned business, I strongly, strongly encourage you to get certified by New York State. There is a county certification and a city certification, but if you want to get state contracts, you have to be certified for the state, and that's through ESD. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out about that. It is a long process. Don't wait for you to get a contract or bid on a contract to get yourself certified, because that will be too late. It does take upwards of 9 months to get certified. It's rigorous, but they want to make sure that we want to make sure that the companies that actually get certified really truly protects those companies that truly are MWBEs. So it is quite a process to get certified, but we strongly encourage you to do so if you are eligible. And I spoke a lot, Terry, so I'll move it on to Rosalie and Kelly, and hopefully we'll have a chance for questions at the end.
Yeah, good. I mean, and thanks, Kara. So, you know, we've dealt with Empire State Development, as you know, as an organization for years, and even I was surprised at some of the other things coming down the pike. So just, and we're going to encourage everybody to put questions in the Q&A on the bottom bar. And we'll, again, get back to that in a little bit. But Kara, can you just talk a little bit about, from a CFA standpoint, what the deadlines look like? That's been a big question from our members.
Yep. For Empire State Development programs, the Excelsior tax credits and the grants, there is no longer a deadline. For some of the other state agencies, so the CFA, that's a good point, Terry, that I didn't touch. The consolidated funding application is not just Empire State Development. There's a lot of different state agencies that have some sort of economic development money. And that is why we created the CFA and the REDC to align all those programs. So there's parks money, there's marketing money, there's Department of DEC money. There's a whole bunch of different agencies that have always had economic development type grants, and they were all on different schedules, and it was confusing to anyone applying. I mean, professional grant writers that themselves sometimes were confused. So the state aligned it all, most of the programs, into one consolidated funding application online, and you can go in there. And if you don't know what agency you're applying to, the program actually helps you figure out what you want, what you're looking for. But for private businesses, like probably most of the people on this call are, the real grants are Empire State Development, whether it's grants or Excelsior tax credits. And that program no longer has a deadline. We're doing that as of last year. We've been doing it on a rolling basis. It used to be everyone had to apply by the end of July. The awards were back the awards were around early December, and then the following year you would get your award. That didn't really work for businesses, as you all know. You know, if you want to expand, you can't wait 9 months to do your expansion. You want to do it now. You need to order the equipment. So with COVID and really focusing on trying to get money to the street faster, we decided that didn't work anymore. So ESD grants and Excelsior tax credits, rolling basis. You come, you apply every couple months. You know, we gather up whatever's in the portal, we analyze it, we pitch it to our management team, and we can make those awards pretty quickly.
Okay, great. So I'm a business owner. I'm a little confused as to what types of money I can get. What's the best thing to do? I'm assuming to call you staff,
yes,
to call the office, and someone will walk them through it. Yeah, and
call
you know what? I have to say, Kara, that we're, you know, you mentioned it when you're open. We're very, very lucky to have an agency, particularly on Long Island, Empire State Development, and you leading it, because, as you said, now the region has a say, right? And Long Island, you're pushing for Long Island. So that's really, really important. And I don't just say this because Kara's on the phone. For any of you who have any questions, not only is she very knowledgeable, but her whole staff is very knowledgeable. So thank you. We're going to go to Rosalie just for a quick second. So I don't know who doesn't know Rosalie. I don't know who doesn't know all three of you, to be quite frank, but Rosalie is a Suffolk County Commissioner of the Department of Labor. She actively works with the HIA-LI and other agencies, and law enforcement and labor unions and educators and really everybody to create a much more skilled workforce Again, we've said more than once, many of us, and we've all felt it, it is difficult to hire and retain and train and do all of that, particularly in this environment. It's difficult. So, her and her team work tirelessly to do that. So Rosie, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know you have some great programs as well.
Thank you. And I'll echo what everybody else said. First of all, amazing group of partners. And the key to success for you is for us to be working together, which is what we do on your behalf, and share information and resources. I want to echo what Kara said. I recommend that if you are going to apply for anything, to call her office, because the team can really go through the best way to follow the process and answer questions ahead of time. When you're inside the portal trying to fill something out, you just not the time, you want to know that ahead of time. So, but it's a great process, and the funding has been tremendous. So I want to talk about two things today. Department of Labor Licensing and Consumer Affairs is your local Department of Labor. We are contracted under the state and stewards of federal funds. On our workforce development side, the mission is economically empowering work for all Suffolk County residents, ready, able, diverse local talent for Suffolk County businesses, and equitable growth, where our businesses, our residents, our unions, our workers all grow simultaneously, and that we develop whatever programs we have in partnership with the community, with business, and with the workers. So that's the framework we operate under. On the job side, we have a business service unit. That's really the driver. So when Kara talks about they will be having workforce development money and funding available for businesses around job creation, where our focus is drawing talent to you and getting them ready. So, Kara's focusing and ESD focuses on the business side of the economic development, and our focus is to interact with businesses so we can drive the right talent to you. So we have a business service unit, which really the most important thing is for you to give us as ESD and the rest of us on the call information about what gaps you're seeing in the workforce, so that we can then give that information to our education and training division. We have funding to train the talent pool that's out there currently and the emerging workforce for the jobs that you have. So these are adults who are transitioning from maybe another field to your field, youth that are choosing work first versus college first as their journey right out of high school. We're providing training funds, and we are using local training providers such as Suffolk Community College or Stony Brook or Farmingdale. So we need to know what you need. We will also, because of our federal funding and our requirements under federal law, we focus on the DEIJ population. So we focus recruitment around specific populations: veteran, people with disabilities, low income and minority, LGBTQ, women. So if you are looking for, as we will often get phone calls, I'd like more women in the electric trades, I'd like to see more of a diverse population entering this field of technology, we are working with 200 community-based organizations. They do the recruiting. We send out the information about the jobs and the skills. They do recruiting for us. So we work with Urban League, we work with Latino Teachers Association, we work with the National Society of Black Engineers to try to find talent and train. So the other thing we'll talk about on the workforce side is that while we're training, getting people ready and recruiting for today, we also want to make sure we're preparing the youth for tomorrow. So we have a youth program that is providing paid work experience and career readiness program. So I highly recommend, if you want a sustainable talent pipeline, that you take advantage of that program. We pay $15 an hour. So we pay the youth and they can get it really hands-on. So again, this is really great for college first or work first youth. We want them to go into the college programs if you require a college degree that reflect what you need. So if they get awareness in the high school area between 16 to 18, they go into the right programs. And if they're work first and they've had a chance to get their hands on what you're doing, then they're going to choose to go work for you. And then we can train them for any additional skills. We also offer contextualized ESL through our partners, BOCES and others. So we know a lot of the production workforce is Spanish speaking and other language speaking. So for folks, we've heard from a lot of the warehousing pick and pack that we need to make sure that our talent that we are recruiting for you has better English proficiency and digital literacy. So the more we can understand what you need them to know, we can inform the curriculum with our partners. On the other side, I do want to touch on that for a second. We're licensing and consumer affairs, and we license over 17,000 businesses. We have a list of local contractors if you need them for work on site. So I always forget to mention that, Terry, when I'm on the call, and I get yelled at later. So if you need a local contractor, we also keep a list of local artists if you want art on your walls and soap in your soap dish made by local people. So expand that talent pipeline, and that's workforce development too. So I think I touched on everything else. And if you want us to host job fairs, I should just say two things about that. We've been doing them in the community. We've done some central ones, but we've noticed a change. So the thing that has been working best, especially given transportation and other barriers, is to host them in a community within a 2-mile radius of your location. And, we can also do them on Zoom. So
Great.
we invite you to join us. I'll put my email and Diane LaChapelle's email in the chat.
Yeah, great. And Rosalie, again, some great services. I mean, what I hear you saying is from the opportunity to develop skilled workers, you are the conduit to all the agencies that really bring it together. So that's important for people on the call to know. It's exciting that Suffolk County really understands how important it is to look at a sustainable workforce too. I think that stat that we use a lot is that by 2025, 75% of our workforce will be young professionals. So it's important that, we do some things now. So again, same question that we had asked Kara, how do people find out the nitty gritty of the funds that are available for, their current staff and things like that? Are they calling you? Are they emailing you? What is the easiest way to do that?
So at the moment, it's we don't do incumbent worker training, and that is training of existing workers. So that is something that is more ESC focused. Mm-hmm. And there are other nonprofits, by the way, like the Workforce Development Institute and a few others that can do incumbent worker training. Our focus is on the recruitment side of it. So I put Diane's email in the chat. You could email Diane and copy me. The best way, truly, just as Kara said, our job as public service agencies is to help you navigate this delightful system. So well-intended and delightful system. So an individual call to understand your needs, right? And I'll just give a quick example. We have an auto dealer that called us, and they are also a union auto dealer. So between the auto dealer and they have a whole host of auto dealers and the UAW, they have a shortage of workers. So we sat and talked about the fact that, we can do a recruitment for youth. They're going to take summer youth at age 18 to come and learn the trade. They want to do a targeted recruitment for women. They want to and BOCES is currently doing small engine repair in the jail. And so we're going to expand that and have them come out with larger engine repair, right? So, and the employer said, what do you need? Like, I have extra cars. Can we do transportation and give someone a job to drive people to the training? So we're going to fund the training. They're going to do, work experience, and they're going to inform the curriculum. So we've done that for manufacturing and healthcare. And so that's the way we work together. And if we are recruiting a cohort and that, we say we need, like I said, English language, this technology, some digital literacy skills, some professional skills, we'll tailor that to the employer. So that's why, as with Kara, a call, right, to understand what specifically is needed we'll come up with solutions that we wouldn't come up with just, an email and
Okay, great. And you know what, Kelly, before we get to you, because I do see we have some questions that look like they're very specific to Kara and Rosalie. I'm just going to take two of them, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Quickly. So the first looks like it's from Alex Charles. So he's asking, are there programs for purchasing a business, which you touched on, looking for mortgage and business purchase assistance, as well as help with upgrading the business to comply with current rules, regulations, COVID compliance, and FDA regulations. So someone want to take that? So
Not,
programs for purchasing a business is.
yeah, well, actually Kelly will probably want to
Oh,
chime
okay.
in there. So just, and I'll just lead off by saying that the Industrial Development Agency and ESD and the energy companies all play a role in economic development and assisting companies, and we work together. We don't compete. We actually our programs actually complement each other. So the actual purchase, I'll let Kelly talk about, and then any sort of expansion and upgrading, we could help at ESD.
Okay, good. So Kelly, before you answer it, because I know Rosalie has to hop off in a few minutes, let me just see, because we do have some questions here that
I love Steve's
specifically-
question.
Yeah. Yes. So that question is for you, it looks like, Rosalie. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna read it. Is that okay, Terry? He says,
Yeah.
we have a 40-year machine shop in Medford. We have work. We can get more work, and we're struggling to find machinists in training. Here's what we can do. Let's have a call. I mean, I put my email in the chat, but we need to sit down and understand who you want to hire, what you want to hire, what you want them trained for. What we have been doing, Suffolk Community College has a machinist program. It's an excellent machinist program. And you can create a state registered apprenticeship, and that program will be paid for, and we can pay participants. So one of the challenges is that the people who need the work the most can't leave their jobs to go get training and get a new job. So we can provide paid training. So what I would just recommend we do is we sit down with you, understand the skills you need. We can do a recruitment where, because remember, we can only pay for people who are not employed yet. We can do recruitment for you. You can pre-screen those candidates to see if they meet, sort of the right attitude and aptitude. And then we can put them through, if they're work ready, we'll put them directly on the floor. If they need some time and some training, they can go through a program like the one at Suffolk Community College that can be paid for by us, or through an apprenticeship program grant at CUNY, and then we can give them paid work experience. So it's doable. We have to take a targeted approach within look at the geography, and also get the key to that is our community-based partners. So we need to, I just would look at who our community-based organization partners are in Medford, and we would all sit together and come up with a custom hiring plan for you.
All right, great. And I see that many of you were asking for all the ladies' phone numbers and contact. We will make sure at the end of the program, they repeat it, number one, and we will email it out to everyone who is on this call. So you will get that contact information. It looks like, Rosalie, the other question here that, well, there's quite a few of them, but that relates to what you do, is someone had asked about training for the trades and HVAC.
And again, so Suffolk has a program for HVAC. I think BOCES is not on, and I think they may have a program for HVAC. I know that Suffolk does. And so again, it's if you're talking about incumbent workers that work for you already, then you want to, we would talk to ESD about that. If you're talking about recruiting folks with HVAC capability, you're going to reach out to Suffolk Community College, John Lombardo or Laura Galetta, for existing talent that's coming out of the school. And their program, by the way, if you just go to their classes, this is the best thing you can do, is go to the classes. John Lombardo and Laura taught me well. Go to the classes and speak to the classes about the job opportunity you have while they're in class, because most of those folks get plucked out of the class before they even graduate. So you want to go into the schools to get those programs.
Right.
And if you have employees that you think would be good for those roles that want to be trained, then again, if you do a state registered apprenticeship, the state will pay for the training at one of our colleges.
All right, great. And Rosalie, is there funding? Someone's asking, is there funding for independent consultants? Do we know?
Not through us, but through one of our partners. So that's again where we would sit down, try to understand what that need is, and then we would sit with the company and the consultant, and we'd find like a, if there's a nonprofit, or maybe, I don't know, Kara, if consulting will be part of some of the funds you have now or in the future, that might be something we put in the recommendations.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the question. Consulting for training?
I guess a consultant, so I'm guessing you mean, and I'm not sure, back in the day, this is dating my time here apparently, when someone like in manufacturing, when Lyft was in place, there was funding to pay for consultants. I'm not sure if this is what the question is, to come in and do an assessment of needs or to oversee on-site training or lean manufacturing. I'm not sure if that's the question, but there used to be funding available for that. That might be the MEP actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, if it's manufacturing related or even semi-manufacturing related, because warehousing is under, I think, under the manufacturing makes code, the local MEP at Stony Brook probably has money for the consultant. That's when we might have
Yes.
to do more
And she's
digging on.
saying, yes, the person asking this question is saying, yes, Rosalie, that's it. You hit the nail on the head. So thank you. So Rosalie, I know you have to scoot off, right?
I'll be back. I'll be on for a few more minutes, then I'll be back. I'll be listening. I have a child that has to get to the bus.
But just in case, you put your contact information right in
Yep, and I'm gonna drop it. I dropped it in the chat, but I'll drop it in the Q&A too.
Okay, perfect.
I'll be back.
So Kelly, just let's go to you and then we're going to get back to, I know there's some more questions. So, you know, the Suffolk Industrial Development Agency for the HIA-LI, I mean, not only has been a valued partner, but Kelly and I have worked very, very closely. And it was really Kelly's brainchild for the sustainability study in this park, in the Long Island Innovation Park at Hop Hog. So the Suffolk IDA has done an exorbitant amount of work really helping the expansion in this park. So we thank you for that, and they have some very creative programs just to help your businesses in general. So I'm going to turn it over to Kelly, and it looks like, Kelly, you have some questions here too, but you'll probably answer a lot of them as you speak.
Yes, I would imagine so.
All right, good.
Great. So good morning. Also I'd like to echo what a privilege and honor it is to work with the women on this panel. And I think it's pretty obvious that not only do we work together and try to solve problems for the region, but we're also very dedicated to getting the word out, getting the resources out, which is how we came to be here this morning. So I just wanted to echo those sentiments. So like Kara, I always like to start out with a little bit of a primer about what IDAs are and what we do. We are public benefit agencies. There are over 100 in New York State. There are 5 here in the county: Brookhaven, Islip, Riverhead, Babylon, and the Suffolk IDA. So we generally operate outside of the borders of those towns. There are occasions when we will venture into those towns, but like the folks on this call, we work together as partners. So if you're working with Brookhaven or Islip, there wouldn't be any reason for you to give us a call. So just wanted to start with that. And it's kind of a misconception out in the public that we compete, but we absolutely do not under any circumstance. So IDAs, and I like to kind of go through this, IDAs were created to actively promote, encourage, and attract, develop job and recreational opportunities and economically sound commerce industry. Our mission is really simple. It's to create jobs and grow the economy. So we do that by assisting companies that are looking to remain, expand, or move into the county. And so we offer several different financial incentives for companies to do that, or that have a financial need in order to expand or grow. The types of industry we help are generally manufacturing, distribution, R&D, warehousing. We have recently expanded more. Many of the IDAs on the island are working with energy projects, multifamily housing, which is a tremendous need, which is a commercial purpose when it comes to IDAs. We have worked very closely with those folks because everybody knows the cost of doing business on Long Island is very challenging. So we work together with Kara, ESD, and the utility companies, as she mentioned, National Grid, PSE&G, to provide or present a full suite of benefits to clients looking to engage in these activities. So the one particular area that we are not permitted to venture into is retail. And retail is broadly defined in New York State as anywhere a person can enter in and obtain a good or a service. There are certainly some exceptions or exemptions, when they're proven to be a tourist destination, or when those goods or services are not readily available. That is certainly something that we could then look at. Let's see what else we want to talk about. So we are transaction based. So we are funded by our clients. The types of benefits that we offer, there are three in general that we like to focus on. The first one, when you're purchasing a building, is a mortgage recording tax. That tax in Suffolk County currently is 1.05%, and we can exempt up to 0.75% of that. The remaining 0.3%, New York State holds on to as the MTA tax. The next one is a sales tax exemption, and that can be utilized during the construction or renovation of your project. And it's generally FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So I like to describe it as it's the actual printer, but not the paper or the ink. So, and when it comes to the construction and you get a cost for renovation or for construction, usually half of that is labor and the other half is materials. So we can exempt just the material portion of that. And for many businesses, that turns out to be very helpful financially for a project feasibility. And the last one, and the one that's most popular, is a property tax abatement, also known as a pilot, a payment in lieu of taxes. I think this is the most misunderstood of the financial benefit that we offer. So I like to always spend a little bit more time going through that. So generally, what we are able to do is phase in the increase in assessed value of a project over a 10 or 15-year time period. That is determined by the number of jobs that you are creating and the private capital investment that you are making in the county. It never means that it's less than what's being paid on a property for new construction. If there's a land tax, that remains the same. So again, that future assessed value is phased in over a period of time. And usually the savings, the overall savings for the client is about 27–28%. I think oftentimes people hear pilots and they're like, well, they're not paying any taxes. That's not the case at all. And in many instances, the increase in value to that land contributes to the school districts and the local taxing jurisdictions in a really positive way. So I like to help people look at it from a global perspective. It also creates a multiplier effect. So, when businesses are growing and when you're adding jobs, more people are spending money in the downtowns, at the restaurants, at the delis, at the dry cleaners. They're buying homes, they're renting apartments. So, it's adding to the, the overall health of the municipality. Let's see, very, very important is to talk to us sooner rather than later. We operate under a but-for clause, so but for the assistance of the IDA, you would not have the financial wherewithal to proceed with your project. So we encourage you to give us a call, just like Kara had said, and they operate under the same premise. And we work very closely together. Kara and I, our programs are very much in line. So when folks come to us, it's my first question is whether or not they've reached out to ESD. We'll do introductions. Quite frankly, honestly, what we generally do is go as a team. So when I get a call from a client, I'll call Kara, I'll call the utilities, and we all go together so we can present all those benefits at one time, and government liaisons, and it's a really efficient, effective way to help companies through this process, because let's face it, it's a certain amount of paperwork, and there is a time sensitivity to how things go and who comes first. I like to have them go through Kara's process, and when they're done with that, then I take them through mine, and then we call Rosalie and find out what their training needs are. So it can be somewhat overwhelming, which is why we try to parse that out on a time basis. So we are easily reachable. Professional economic developers, happy to help anybody at any time. The best way is to call us and ask. And frequently, if you don't qualify for our programs, we can often put you in touch with some of the SBAs, the small business associations and loans, with some of Kara's programs. There are a lot of things out there, and I think that's what propagated this discussion this morning, especially with the state just overwhelmingly coming out with so many really terrific programs that it's really important to get the word out. So I know we have several people on the call this morning, but I would encourage you to reach out to your networks as well and let them know about our discussion this morning, and encourage them to give us a call. And I think that's it. And again, happy to answer questions, and happy to be here this morning. Thanks, Terry.
Great. Oh, thanks, Kelly. And you do have a couple of questions, so let me read them off.
Okay.
So one of them is asking about, is the entertainment industry included within the IDA benefits? Theaters, movie houses, concert halls, etc.
Unfortunately, they are primarily considered retail. I do know through the state that there are several, Kara, maybe you can speak to, there's several COVID programs that have been really beneficial to the entertainment industry. One of our clients is in Northport, the owners of the John Engman Theater, and they are recently building a hotel, which we were able to induce. And they have been hugely successful in availing themselves of all of the COVID programs. And they, quite frankly, said that they would not have been able to stay open with that, but for those programs. And kept every single staff member working throughout COVID. And now folks are back in the theater. So I don't know, Kara, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think that was mostly the shuttered venues, right? Which was a federal program.
I see, right.
There is, I believe, this for the COVID recovery, the state does have a restaurant return to work credit. So if you come, and that's up to $5,000 per new worker hired. But it's the theater, the musical and theater tax credit is restricted to New York City, New York State. But I said the shuttered venue that Senator Schumer was so integral in getting that money, that funding to Long Island, to New York. I know that's where they were getting that money, the shuttered venue.
Okay, great. And that was a question from Alex Charles. So Alex, I would recommend that you contact Kara's office to find out a little bit more about, again, what they can do and what they can't do. They're also asking about restaurants and hotels, really, we just dealt with, but restaurants in particular, where do they fit within this? Is there any funding, additional funding that restaurants can get?
So the one thing I just want to point out that I thought of when Kelly was talking, and it's really important for both the IDA programs and the state programs. We have what's called a but-for clause. So like you have to talk to us before you start your project. You can't take any steps. Like if you've already here, if you've already started your project, we're actually precluded by law to help you, because we have to be able to prove that but for the state or county assistance, you wouldn't be here. So that's really important to come early before you start your project and talk to us. Both
So they
Kelly.
should be contacting you then first.
Yes.
It should be a
Yes.
first contact.
Yep.
Oh, that's great
Yep.
to know.
Or Kelly or I will bring
Right.
the other side in. And also the state's also, we don't do retail and restaurants or professional offices. If you're here because this is where your business is, because this is, you know, that's not, we don't, so restaurants are considered, or is a form of retail. We don't do hotels either. I know the IDA can help hotel. The state does not, ESD does not generally, unless it's a really tourism-based hotel, like in some of the areas in upstate New York. But we do, with COVID, we do have the restaurant return to work credit. So if you're, you know, bringing employees back after COVID, you can get assistance through that program. But otherwise, restaurants, no.
Okay. Someone's asking about nonprofit. So from a nonprofit, are nonprofit organizations eligible for capital improvement funding?
Yes.
There's the great news.
Yes. You know, obviously not the excelsior tax credits, because,
Right.
you know, you're not, but yes, depending on, they're eligible, you know, depending on what the program is, or, you know, we've done several grants for several not-for-profits. We've done theaters. You know, I shouldn't say that. We have done capital grants when we talked about theaters before. Opening new theaters, there was, we have assisted Broadway theaters, not Broadway, but theaters on Long Island, downtown theaters. And right now, I think the Suffolk Theater is looking for money through the Downtown Revitalization Program. So if there's a tourism-based theater, like not a movie theater, but like a tourism-based live theater, we have offered assistance to them in the past with grants.
Okay, great. So Kelly, for you, are there upstate IDAs? This person is looking at a business near Woodbury Commons by the outlets upstate.
Yes, there are. There are IDAs throughout the state. I'm not quite sure what county that is, but we could easily determine that.
Okay, so we can
And that's the Mid-Hudson ESD regional office. So reach out to the ESD office in the Mid-Hudson region.
Okay, and then this next question is, are there available monies for expanding business? So Kelly,
Yeah.
right, and sustainable monies and construction monies, and can you get a little bit more detailed about that, Kel?
Sure. So if a company is looking to expand their business and has a budget, I would say generally because of the transaction counsel and costs, that if that budget exceeds $2 million, then it is beneficial to come and talk to us. Because any renovation, as a transaction-based agency, anytime you're either purchasing, leasing, or altering the building itself, it gives us the opportunity to come into the transaction and induce that or provide those benefits. And so the benefits we'd be looking at would be all of the three that I discussed, probably not mortgage recording tax, presuming that you already own the building. So if you're expanding, you know, you're going to have an increased assessed value as a result of that. So that's that pilot payment that we talked about. We can have a look at that, as well as the sales tax exemption on the materials for the construction and renovation.
Great.
We also come to ESD for an expansion. I mean, if there's jobs associated with that expansion, you're eligible for grants and tax credits.
Great. So someone's asking, is there something training providers can do to better support the companies requesting new worker training or new talent pipeline?
Rosalie's back just in time.
Just in time, literally ran from the bus stop.
Yeah.
So a couple of things. We could hope, I mean, the state just did a great survey that they released yesterday talking about what the skills gaps are and you know, what are the challenges. I think the key thing would be to host some forums with employers and education and training providers by industry, right? So now that we have some of that data that the state did, I think maybe the next thing we could do as a group is host a forum with the education and training providers and the employers. The other thing I would say, and we could do this in the forum, is that we all rely on the data that you post in your jobs. So when you post a job posting, we use aggregators, Indeed, and all the others. We use aggregators, the state and local DOL use an aggregator that takes everything you've posted online. And then those aggregators and the colleges and educational institutions use them too. So, you know, what you put in that job application is part of what we, you know, that online posting is part of what we use to determine. So if you are listing your skills accurately, your credentials, sometimes I'll have somebody, when I do a, individual call with an employer, they'll say, we don't require a degree. We're fine with a certificate course, but the actual job posting says degree required. And so, right. So I think if we hosted a forum based on industry with the training providers, and we can get all the colleges in the room, and also honestly, the curriculum folks from the high school level that are working on work-based learning curriculum, we could put them on a call based on industry. Happy to facilitate, because we work with the work-based learning coordinators and the colleges, and and you guys have the businesses, right? So we could just host those together and have a forum. I mean, I don't want to do another survey. I think a conversation would be good, because then that's part of, Kara, I don't know if you talked about it while I was gone, but in the regional strategic plan for workforce development, that could be part of what informs that plan too. So I'd be happy
I think, Rosalie, just to pipe in, I think that's exactly what we are going to be doing. So I tried to touch on a little bit, but this year, our full focus is workforce development. We know that is the biggest challenge facing the businesses, and it's not unique to Long Island. It's across the state, it's across the country. So we, as Rosalie said, ESD and DOL, state DOL put out a survey, which I know Terry sent out to all of you, and many of you responded. I think we had double or triple the amount of responses than we did last year. So that was great, because right now we're tasked in this first phase of our strategic plan this year to come up with a baseline of, what are the skills needed? What are the most open jobs? What are the communities that we're trying to employ? Who's the underserved employee in this area? And what are the wraparound services needed? And then we're going to take that information, and then a lot of that came from that survey that we went out statewide, and we're going to report on that by the end of July. And then we're going to be bringing in a professional consulting firm, the state's giving each region a consulting firm to have just those forums, Rosalie, and more. The idea is to really get industry, employees, and the state and the educators all talking together, all figuring out what's needed. What programs do we need? How do we get people back to work, companies, employees that they need, and the wraparound services for those employees? So I think, Rosalie, let's mark that as one forum, like what you just talked about. I think we'll have the ability to really make this specific for Long Island, what forums we need, how we need them. So that communication, I think, and that's why the governor put so much money in ESD's Office of Workforce Development, because we need industry to speak to the workforce development issue. We need to know what industry needs, and we need to make sure the educators and the trainers are aware of what industry needs.
Yeah, great. Well needed, as we all know, right? All of us talk about this. Kara, just tell us again that timeline. You said there was
we'll be working on that later this summer and into the early fall.
Okay.
And once we have a schedule of, when these forums are, and what, we'll be working very closely with Rosalie, and I know this, several of my workforce development work group members on this call, all the colleges, BOCES, high schools, training programs. We worked with all of them. We have a very robust workforce development work group as part of the REDC. They work very hard, headed up by Phil Vigil and John Durso. And Rosalie's been so important, and the State Department of Labor, and so many people have been working with us and will help us create what that strategic plan for the next couple months looks like, and how we can really really meet the needs of everybody.
Great. And I will tell you, we have someone from the HIA-LI, Rita DeStefano, representing us on that work group. And she just said to me the other day, she's on the back end. Hi, Rita. I know you can't speak, but I know you're
She's
back.
also on our board.
Yeah,
workforce will.
and she's really excited about what's going to come down the pike, Carol, with this work. Really, really excited. So
Terry,
well-
there was a question about hospitality. Did you answer that already, or should I answer?
talked about it, but why don't you? Yes, the ladies.
I did post it, but I just wanted to say we do, as I said, training contextualized to industry. We fund that, but it's through our college partners. We're BOCES, so BOCES, St. Joseph, Suffolk Community College would recommend the same thing, that you go recruit from, from the class specifically of graduates if you're looking for that. But we did. I will also say, with our partners, the Hampton Bay School, that Laura's created a program that we funded. And this is the kind of thing, when we talk about partnership work on the pipeline, that works. It was a several week class for adults. They also did a youth component. So Hampton Bays created a program where there's a youth component in the high school getting hospitality training that was designed by an employer, Canoe Place Inn, and training. The curriculum was at St. Joseph. So while they're in high school, they got credits towards college, and we paid for the pilot for that, or I paid for the pilot when I was at my previous job. And he just did an adult cohort. And the distinction there was provided transportation, provided a meal, provided live translation, and childcare. So, and everyone got a resume and job, interview skills training, and interviewed for jobs, and people were hired on the spot. So that's the kind of collaboration it takes, right? And the full other supports, transport, childcare, language, right? And we paid people to attend those training because those were people in other low wage jobs that couldn't afford to leave their job to attend a training. So we removed all the barriers, and those folks are now working at Canoe Inn and other East End businesses. So,
Great.
we can do that for any industry.
Great. So, so listen, what we are all hearing is that there is money out there to give out. And as a business, you need money. So we're encouraging you really to get in contact with not only these ladies, but their agencies. And yes, we will follow up with contact information for all of them. And the money is now, right? So there's the good news, because not only do you need it, but we're hoping that by doing things like this for our members, that it less complicates it. Not that it's complicated, but I mean, Kelly said before that, it's where do I apply, and what's the deadline, and what's it for, and all of those questions that you have. And these are the gals who can really answer those questions. So I'm going to ask each of you before we end. Let me just see, we have any, I see one more question came in. Oh, it's Rita that's saying, this panel is wonderful and I look forward to working with them in very aggressive initiatives. So thank you, Rita. I'm going to ask each of you, just in closing, to give out contact information again. And again, we will email it out for everybody who doesn't get it. And just some parting words. So Carrie, you want to start?
Sure. So I think Denise Zani's in the chat room, or in the question and answer, and she did post our email and our phone number again. So check that out. But it's lirdc@esd.ny.gov. Phone number 631-435-0717. I know I speak very quickly, but it is posted in there. So look for that. I also want to say every 2 weeks, we have what we call our virtual office hours. Before COVID, we actually did them in our office, in our room. You could just walk in and ask for help. But right now we're doing them virtually. We have one at 10 o'clock today. And Denise also posted the contact information for that, but she told me also you go on to I guess you just go into the LIRDC website, and you could see there's a Zoom information there to get into office hours, and you can call us at any time, but we have found the office hours are interesting because when there's a group of people like this, asking questions, it kind of spurs other people's questions. So you're welcome to join us in our office hours, or call, like I said, call our office at any time. But speak to us in the very beginning. I can't stress that enough. You know, once your project has started, once you've signed contracts, it's unfortunately too late for the state to assist, because we can no longer satisfy that but-for clause. So call us as soon as you know what your issues are. And like Rosalie pointed out earlier, or Kelly did, or maybe both of you, if we can't immediately help you, we can find someone who can. You know, we can refer you. We have the state ESD supports the Entrepreneurial Assistance Program at Hofstra and Suffolk County. The Small Business Association supports the small business development centers. These are free services to small businesses. They're amazing, and they are there. They are funded by the state and the federal government to assist small businesses. There's a lot of programs out there for small businesses. So if you can't go there, Cynthia Colon, I believe, is on. She's from our MEP program at Stony Brook, the Manufacturing Extension Program. That's also to help small companies. There's a lot of assistance out there, and it only takes getting in touch with one of us for us to send you, if not us, to send you to the appropriate person that can help you.
All right, great. Thank you. How about you, Rosalie?
Again, I think that, you know, I'm going to steal your virtual office hours idea, Kara. I think the main thing is that we need to customize solutions based on what you're looking for and what the challenges are, either unique to the business or the geography where you're located. So the best thing we could do is set up a call, and then, you know, just know that we share whatever we learn with the partners on this call and other partners on a regular basis. So we'll bring folks in, but we're also all looking at these challenges that you're facing together, right? And know that you're heard.
Absolutely. Cal?
Great. So I also put my email and office number into the chat, but I know you'll be receiving that. But I would also encourage people to go to our website. That's SuffolkIDA.org. We have a lot of information on the website about our partners. We have testimonials on there of folks that have worked with us. And, you know, really important to say, as Kara did, to get in touch with us early and often, you know, well before any contracts. You know, even if it's a year or 2 or 3 away, even better, because we can inspire and inform you as to what, you know, you would be looking at down the road, and then you have a lot more time to reach out to the partners on this call. But I don't know, just again, call us. We're available. The office number comes to us whether or not we are working hybrid in the office or outside. So please reach out to us and let us help you.
Great. You know, and we said, these agencies are really leading the way in economic development. So we can't stress enough how important it is to reach out to them. And I know I've said it over and over again, but they have funds to give you, right? And they just need to know, and, you know, Rosalie said it before, it's a customized approach, right? So they're there to answer any questions. So we appreciate it. We're recording this so everybody knows. You will get an email not only with contact information again, but with a link to the recording. So you absolutely can watch it again if you'd like, or send it to other people with some of this critical information. And we appreciate you all being on the call. Thank you, ladies, very much for everything that you do on a daily basis as well.
And you as well, Terry.
Thanks. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.